follow-up on that from Mark. You like to use language in your answers to questions as well as today about putting people in a position where God can effectively minister to them. In relationship to the Jesus mural, it seems that if one is in a position of offense because they're offended, even if it's only one person, then they are not in the place that you would like them to be for God to minister to them. Can you comment on that?
Maybe. It would appear, it would appear that maybe they're not in the best place. I think it would be very important to look at that individual, for the individual to look inward. In counseling sessions and here in Biola's counseling sessions and in spiritual direction, I know that many issues in a person's life, be it an issue that they have with someone else or an organization or what have you, more often than not, there's a problem in the inner self. Not to say that if someone is offended by the Jesus mural, they should go question, their identity. But one should definitely look in the mirror, so to speak, as to what is going on, to find what is God's best for that individual. And yet it may be different among the students in detail. But I would say that it would appear so, that maybe even if one person is offended by the Jesus mural, that they're not the best place for God to grow them. Thus, we should look at that issue carefully and look at it on an individual level as pertains to the individual.
Real quick, I think that if a student is bringing up the fact to AS or the administration that they're offended by the Jesus mural, more often than not, that student's already looked inward and has checked themselves through Scripture, as well as probably talked to a mentor or a counselor about it before and reached that conclusion.
Peter?
Go ahead.
That does happen often, but it does not always happen consciously. We always look into ourselves, but we don't always consciously do it. So to assume that someone has looked inward, has gone to counseling and said, and gone to spiritual direction of some sort, to assume that happens simply because someone is offended and goes to AS or goes to administration, I think would be presumptuous, because it very well could be the case that this person is an international student, never been to the U.S., comes to Biola for the first time, and sees something or hears something that they've never heard before in their lifetime, not familiar with this culture, and has not looked inward consciously, and has not been to counseling physically. I've seen this on various mission trips with white American people going to other countries and being offended by things in other countries without ever having gone to counseling or looking consciously inward.
Almost had to ding you there, Mark. At this point, we're going to be transitioning to questions from the audience. So this is to both. How do you plan on educating Biola students on what's going on outside the bubble? In other words, stop feeding the bubble. Cameron, would you like to start?
Definitely. I think that first and foremost, Shannon and I have the idea to bring in, to set up kind of like a future fair career day where organizations and companies and services from the surrounding areas of Orange County, LA come in, and students can go around to them with their resumes and look at getting internships and jobs and even volunteering opportunities through that. And I think that getting plugged in with either an internship or volunteering outside of Biola helps, break that Biola bubble. But right now, we have kind of a trial run that's going to start with having the New York Times here on campus and looking into even trying to get something like that solidified and permanent on campus, where we have an outside news source coming in and adding that perspective, as well as the impact days and the serve days that I've already talked about.
Mark?
Well, ideally, we'd have students going off campus to experience life outside the bubble, as well as bringing people onto campus for us to experience life outside the bubble. And the latter of those, I definitely do in my position currently. I bring in Buddhist monks, Muslim imams. We have a Jewish rabbi coming next week, and those are intended for students to experience life outside the bubble. So ideally, we'd have students experience life outside the bubble while they're still in it, but also getting outside the bubble.
I'd also like to touch on my commitment to improving the study abroad options, as well as the study abroad department at Biola. We talk a lot about impacting the world for Christ, and studying abroad is a great option and a great way to learn about other cultures. And you know, what better way to impact a culture than to not only learn about it through a textbook, but go there and live there for a semester or an interterm. And I think that that is an option that every Biola student should have. And I think that the department should really work on streamlining the process, as well as improving the options, so that that can be accessible to every Biola student.
To press you on that question a little bit more, it seems that with one of the current problems with the study abroad programs happens to be that since the country's in a recession, the cost of studying abroad becomes more difficult. So for example, the exchange rates in a lot of places make it financially very difficult to do so. In years past, when I actually studied abroad, the same Biola tuition was able to go, and it was no extra fees. Now, however, there are a number of extra fees. How would you be able to make it more able for people to study abroad, given the financial situation of the country as well as Biola?
Well, I think that I would love to see Biola as a university set up a scholarship program and a scholarship fund to help students study abroad and to cover those extra costs. But apart from that, you know, the economy is the way it is, and Biola does, you know, have to balance the sheet. And I think that they need to really stress the importance of having students study abroad. And I think by trying to meet students at getting the cost for an abroad semester to be the same as it would be for a semester at Biola is a great way to do that. And I think that that needs to happen.
This next question is from the audience. This is to Cameron. Your idea about internships sounds good, but doesn't career services already do this? Is this AS's job and a legitimate use of student fees?
First and foremost, career services does work on that aspect of Biola, but a lot of students don't know that, and it's not extremely accessible to students. And Shannon and I have talked about partnering with alumni as well as career services to put on an event where, you know, bringing in these companies and organizations to a central place on campus, hopefully doing it like a fair style up along by the fountain area, having booths set up so that students, A, know that it's happening, B, can talk to more than one company or organization at a time, utilize their time with their busy schedules. And, you know, a lot of companies and organizations, especially alumni, want Biola students to work for them, intern for them, as well as volunteer for them. And a lot of these companies, I mean, we don't need to, you know, give them incentives and say, well, we'll pay you to come to our school. They want to come and they want to recruit you. And I think that is a great way to really connect students to impacting the world today.